Uncle Ken at the wicket.
Uncle Ken visits Lucknow and is whisked away by the Gomti Cricketing Association to play a match. One day, Uncle Ken announced that he was going to Lucknow to stay with Aunt Emily.
She has 3 children and a school to look after. Don't stay too long.
She doesn't mind how long I stay.
And off he went. His visit to Lucknow was a memorable one. We only heard about it much later. When Uncle Ken got down at Lucknow station, a large crowd surrounded him. Everyone was waving to him and shouting words of welcome in Hindi, Urdu, and English. They smothered him with garlands of marigolds. He just couldn't make out what it was all about. A young man came forward.
The Gomti Cricketing Association welcomes you to the historical city of Lucknow.
Then he led Uncle Ken to a car that was waiting outside the station for them. The car drove into the sports stadium. Only then did Uncle Ken realize that he was expected to play in a cricket match. This is what had happened. Bruce Hallam, the famous English cricketer, was touring India. He had agreed to play in a charity match in Lucknow, but Mr. Hallam had gone to bed with an upset stomach the previous evening in Delhi. He hadn't been able to catch the train. He sent a telegram to the organizers of the match in Lucknow, but they didn't get it. The cricket fans of Lucknow had arrived at the station to welcome the great cricketer. And by a strange coincidence, Uncle Ken looked a lot like Bruce Hallam. He even had a bald patch on the crown of his head, hence the confusion. He had received a rousing reception and a magnificent breakfast at the stadium, so he felt that it would be very unsporting to refuse to play cricket for them.
If I can hit a tennis ball, I ought to be able to hit a cricket ball.
The Gomti team won the toss and decided to bat. Uncle Ken was expected to go in at number 3, Bruce Hallam's normal position. He soon found himself walking to the wicket. The first ball he received was short-pitched. He was able to deal with it in tennis fashion, swatting it to the mid-wicket boundary. The crowd cheered. The next ball took Uncle Ken on the pad. He was right in front of his wicket and should have been given out leg before. But the umpire hesitated to raise his finger. After all, hundreds of people had paid a lot of money to see Bruce Hallam play, and it would be a shame to disappoint them.
Not out.
The third ball took the edge of Uncle Ken's bat and sped through the slips.
Lovely shot. A classic late cut.
The ball reached the boundary and Uncle Ken had 4 runs to his name. Then it was over and the other batsman had to face the bowling. He took a run of the first ball and called for a second run. Uncle Ken thought 1 run was more than enough. Why go charging up and down the wicket like a madman? However, he couldn't refuse to run, and he was halfway down the pitch when the fielder's throw hit the wicket. Uncle Ken was run out by yards. There could be no doubt about it this time. He returned to the pavilion to the sympathetic applause of the crowd.
Not his fault. The other chap shouldn't have called. There wasn't a run there. Still, it was worth coming here all the way from Kanpur, if only to see that superb let cut.
Uncle Ken enjoyed a hearty tiffin. Then he slipped out of the pavilion, left the stadium, and took a tonga to Aunt Emily's house. He was just in time for the second lunch, taken at 1 o'clock, with Aunt Emily's family. Aunt Emily, a forceful woman, fed Uncle Ken for a week. She then put him to work in the small boys' dormitory of her school. It was several months before he was able to save up enough money to run away and return to Granny's place. He had the satisfaction of knowing that he had helped the great Bruce add 4 runs to his grand total. The scorebook of the Gomti Cricketing Association has recorded this feat for all time. B. Hallam run out 4. The Gomti team lost that match, but as Uncle Ken would readily admit, where would we be without losers?